in any form of OSINT, not just child exploitation, you can have kind of that like secondary trauma of doing these investigations. And I know some of my roughest times have actually been when I've been monitoring and doing OSINT work around protest activity. And it's something that you don't necessarily expect that is going to hit you that as hard as it does. And sometimes you don't realize the ripple effects or the ramifications until days, weeks, or months later. But within the exploitation community, thankfully, like I said, everybody who I work with, be it in ClickSafe or NCPTF, you become this family. And for better or worse, you get very comfortable telling people what they need to hear. And so there would be times we'd be in an investigation and you can tell that somebody is just really struggling with whether it's the particular victim, the particular subject, whatever it is. And you say, okay, you're done. You're in timeout. And it's not a nasty thing. It's not a malicious thing. It's we recognize that this one is really hard for you. Like, we're giving you grace just to remove yourself, to step away. Like, we'll shoulder this one. And then you've got my back next time when it's really hard for me. So we make sure that we're watching out for each other just as much as we're watching out for ourselves. But we also make sure that, like, you haven't taken a vacation in a while. Like, get out of here. Like, go spend time with your family. Yeah. Or it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're all going to shut our computers down for the night and we're going to go to bed, and nobody's allowed to log back on until 9 a.m. the next day. Something that I've started doing with my interns is actually having them create like a self-care plan. And it sounds really hokey. They can do it however they want. They can literally like write it out in just a word list. You can put it in a PowerPoint. You can make it artistic or creative. But it's like, you need to come up with 5 coping strategies for how you are going to kind of recharge if you start to struggle with this. So it can be anything from, I'm only going to allow myself to research for a half an hour and then I have to take a 10-minute break. Or I'm going to make sure that anytime I research, I journal before bed. So I'm not just going to sleep with this. Something that I do here in my office is change up my workspace. So like, I have my day job workspace in a different part of my office than my ClickSafe workspace or my NCTF workspace. Whenever I'm doing a deep dive into research, I will do things like unplug my air freshener. I don't let myself listen to music when I'm doing research. I can do it when I write up the reports, but not when I'm like in it doing the research, because you want to minimize those associations that your brain creates. The last thing you want to do is on a fall Saturday, you spend, 6 hours researching something with your pumpkin spice, air freshener ruined
forever. Yeah.
And now every time you smell that, you think of this horrific thing that you saw when you were doing your research. So anything that we can do to take care of one another. And I think that helps because you're taking it away from the other person to have to say, I need to tag out, which is really hard to do when we're talking about child exploitation. Nobody wants to wave the white flag. So saying, look, you're good. We've got this. Go take a break. I think it makes it easier for that other person to say, yep, you're right. I'm out. Right. And then doing whatever we can to thoughtfully think about how we're taking care of ourselves ahead of time with the self-care plans. And then for me personally, minimizing those negative associations is really, really important. It's amazing how quick your brain makes them. And it's amazing how much really nasty stuff sneaks up on you in these investigations. You're chugging along thinking that, oh, it's fine. I'm, just trying to identify this subject. And then all of a sudden you find a bunch of snuff fantasy stories that your subject has written, and you now have to read through these and you're scarred for life, sort of a thing.